let's go, family. Happy Friday. It's your boy, Crazy Faith to God, in the building, getting ready to drop some quick value for you guys today. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to my channel, Crazy Faith to God. And yeah, let's dive right into it. Today's topic is gonna be the spirit is the asset, right? And the flesh is the liability, right? Your spirit is the asset and your flesh can be the liability, right? So let's dive a little bit deeper on what that topic, even means, right? So whenever we do anything in the spirit, right? That's pretty much our fruits, right? Because our spirit, you know them by the fruits, right? You know them by their fruits. So if you have a spirit and it's fruitful, I would know you by your spirit, right? I would know you from the spirit of your fruits, who you really are, right? The fruits, your fruits never lie, right? What you bring to the table never lies. It shows who you really are, right? But the moment where we stray away from the spirit, right? And we start to do things and entertain into things of the flesh, we begin to become contaminated. And then we start to do things that corrupts us. We start to do things that pull us down. We start to, digress into misery and depression when we do things of the flesh. So that's why I say the spirit is the asset and your flesh could be the liability. So with that being said, it's like we have to stay super strong in the spirit, right? Because when we're in the spirit, we're able to do God's work. We have more peace. We have more joy. Life is so much more fulfilling. You're not worried. You're close to God. And you have a peaceful day. His burdens are light and easy, right? But the moment you switch over into the flesh world, right? You're depleted, you're drained. You're looking for something externally, like you're always constantly looking, right? It's like you're constantly looking for something, like you're always wanting something, right? Remember this, right? Only Jesus can quench your thirst, right? Remember this. Only Jesus can quench your thirst, right? And I had a awakening, right? I had an awakening, and I realized that really Jesus is all you need to quench that thirst, right? And you won't be fulfilled any other way, right? Because what happens? The flesh is never satisfied, right? So you could do whatever you want in the flesh, right? But then after that, it's still gonna want more. It's never satisfied, right? And when you playing on the enemies, when you playing with the devil in the flesh, right? When you playing with that, he will keep you longer than what you want to stay, right? He will keep you longer than you want to stay, right? So we got to be super mindful to stay in the spirit, because the spirit is where everything happens. God can bless you in the spirit. Your fruits of your labor is done in the spiritual room, right? It's done in the spiritual room, right? And we got to stay in that spirit in order to attract things that we want, right? The things that is of God. But the moment we tap into the flesh world, the flesh can't give you, right? God can't give you blessings through the flesh. God can't, promote you through the flesh, right? Because it's the opposite of him, right? The carnal mind is imminent to God. The flesh is pretty much imminent to God, right? If you're carnal, the carnal mind is imminent to God, right? We got to stay away from fleshly desires, because it adds no value to your spiritual life, and it actually hinders you and takes you away from the blessing, right? Remember, everything that you want is at the top, right? Everything that you want is at the top. We got to lock in. We got to let go of these distractions that's not adding value and bringing you to your promised land and feeding your spirit, right? And it's actually doing the opposite, draining you, depleting you, right? So that's why I say the spirit is the asset, right? We got to get engaged with our spirits. We got to strengthen our spirits, understand who we are in our spirits, right? And stay with your spirit, right? Stop going from the spiritual world to the natural world. Remember, God hates that, right? We got to stay in the spiritual world. I know it's hard, but the fight is worth it. The fight is worth it because you already know what's on the other side of your spirit, right? It's death, right? On the other side of your spirit, right, is the fleshly world, and that's death. The flesh is dead. There's no life in the flesh. There's none whatsoever, right? And you're actually giving away your power every time you transfer over from the spirit to the flesh room. And then you got to start over with God. You got to build that connection back over. It's like getting back into a relationship, building up, a relationship with God again, right? So to avoid all of that, just stay in the spirit. I know it's hard, but it's well worth the fight instead of going back and forth, and then you receive nothing from God. And then you got to deal with the regret and the frustration and the depression and the guilt. It's not worth it, right? It's not worth it. Your spirit is beautiful. It's always growing. It's always developing, right? It's always at peace. And it brings peace and joy, right? You have you have self-control over your spirit, right? Don't let what other people are doing influence you on contaminating your spirit and going down the wrong path. Don't allow that to happen. You stay firm in your spirit because that's where God is going to actually able to take you to where you need to go. Without that spirit, you can't get anywhere. It's going to be hard for you to get anywhere, right? And this is the powerful blessing that the spirit is the asset. The spirit is the asset. Like everything that I do, I set an intention to do it in the spirit, right? I'm working on my business. I'm doing it in the spirit. Because I know the fruits of the labor is way more powerful when you're in the spirit versus the flesh, right? The flesh is super dead, right? And the spirit is just way more powerful. It's like you on a vacation when you're in the spirit. When you're in the spiritual realm, when you're in the spirit, you're like on a vacation, right? And then God is able to bless you. He's doing amazing things. Life is getting better. You're elevating one step at a time. You're building a stronger relationship with God. Your spirit is getting more stronger. You're going to church, right? Doors are starting to open up that you never thought that was going to open up. Why? Because you're in the spirit. You're in the kingdom with God now. You're getting closer to God. Every time you draw closer to God, He draws closer to you. When He draws closer to you, He can bless you more. You get more of the favor. And you're like, what? Like things just start happening. People, situations, circumstances just start happening. Everything starts to align. You're being favored. You never used to be favored. I never used to be favored. And then boom, you start walking with God. You're favored. You get the super privileges that other people don't get sometimes. You're just favored. Right? Why is that? Because you're walking in the spirit of God. That's the best place you could be. There's no higher elevation than the spirit of God, right? There's no higher elevation. When we get to the spiritual room, we need to stay there because there's no higher elevation than that. Not a relationship, not a friendship, not a dog. Nothing can be compared to the relationship of God. Like that's the highest you can go. That's better than the actual relationship. But some of us missed that little piece. And then when things don't go your way, your whole life crumbles because you don't have a relationship with God. Right? God is really all you need. Once you understand that and master that, you will stop making the same mistakes. When you stay and hold on to God and not leave His side, you stop making the same mistakes. And trust me, I'm not perfect. I made mistakes, right? I made mistakes, right? I made mistakes and had to build my relationship back up with God. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I fall sometimes, and then I got to get back up. You're not the only one that fell. You're not the only one that's getting back up. We all go through pains and situations and circumstances. But that's just to make us stronger and show the enemy that we're going to keep going. We're going to keep getting back up and pushing towards God and the kingdom that he has for us. Right? Because God is super powerful. Nobody can stop God, not even the devil. God is super strong, super powerful. His spirit is unbreakable. You're the sons and daughter of God. The Spirit of God dwells inside of you. The Spirit of God dwells inside of you. So we got to start really being aware, like, when we get to these good places with God, we want to celebrate it, thank God for it, because we know it could be worse. We already been through worse. So when we get into these levels and these spiritual rooms where we're on that next level with God, we want to thank God and surrender to God. I got to do a video topic on that video. Surrendering to God. We got to be able to surrender to God, because that's a whole nother level of mindset. That's a whole nother level of blessings, and a whole nother level of mindset when you surrender to God, right? It's like a new person. Like, really, like, when you surrender to God, you feel like you're becoming that new person. You feel like a new person for real. And that's big. We got to be able to surrender, especially if we're walking in the Spirit, right? We got to follow the Spirit, right? We got to let the Spirit lead us and guide us, because the Spirit knows where we're going. The Spirit knows the way. It's like you trying to get to the top, right? And look at this. It's like you trying to get to the top, and you got a messenger. You got someone that's guiding you, like a leader, like Moses in the Bible, that's leading you to the promised land, right? The Spirit is there leading us, but we got to surrender to the Spirit of God and let him guide us. And then now we're able to see how to get to the promised land. Piece by piece. He doesn't give it to us in all one shot, but piece by piece, we're able to see how to get to the promised land. But you know what? You can't do that in the flesh. You can't. You spiritually blind if you're in the flesh. You can't see that. But when you're in the Spirit, all game is yours with you and God. You live more in freedom too. You live more in freedom. Who wants to be free? Me. I want to be free. I do. Do you want to be free? Or do you want to be bound and trapped? And hold by the devil? Do you want to be chained by the devil? No, there's no life in that. He'll keep you longer than what you want to stay. Who wants to do that? No, we are going to live in freedom with God. That's the highest you can go. There's no better elevation. We have to start respecting our relationship with God and what he has for us. Right? Because the more we walk with God, the more we see. You haven't received everything that you haven't. You haven't received everything that you haven't. You haven't received everything that you wanted because you haven't been in the fight long enough. Let me say that one more time. You haven't received everything that you have wanted because you haven't stayed in the fight long enough. You haven't received it because you haven't stayed in the fight long enough yet. Right? And that goes for me too. It's some things that I haven't received because I haven't stayed in the fight long enough. That's a big one. So my question to you is, are you going to keep fighting? Are you going to jump back in the fight? And if you're in the fight, are you going to keep fighting some more? Are you going to cry and fight to keep going when it gets hard? I'm going to leave you guys with this, right? I'm going to leave you guys with this. The Spirit is the asset. The flesh is the liability. If we don't start walking in the spirit, we would never get to our promised land and see what God has for us. And if we don't stay in the fight long enough, we won't receive what God has for us. And if you're walking in the flesh, you won't be able to do that either. The flesh is the opposite of the spirit, right? The flesh world is pretty much the devil's world, his works. The spirit is God's works, and you live in freedom and it's a blessing, right? You will live a blessed life, right? You will live a blessed life because of what you sacrifice now, right? Whatever you what's easy now, if you do what's easy now, your life will be hard later. If you do what's hard now, your life will be easy later, right? So I want to just leave you guys with that, right? And just want to take a few minutes now and just to actually pray over you guys. God, I ask you to help us walk more into the spirit, humble ourselves, right? So let us be able to surrender to anything that's not of. Let us surrender to the spiritual world rather than to anything else, Lord. Help us to surrender to the spiritual world because that's where you're able to bless us. We already know the flesh is dead. There's no life in the flesh. Thank you, God, for the awareness and the wisdom to keep pushing forward. And we know that everything that you have for us is at the top. And we just got to be patient, God. And let us just wait and endure because the fight and the patience is well worth it in the long run. The fight and the patience is well worth it in the long run, God. And thank you, God, for allowing us to reach our full highest potential and to keep growing for everyone around us. Let's grow. Let's become 1% better. It's Crazy Faith with God. On the way out, I'm gone. Hope you guys subscribe to the channel. You already know what time it is. We're out of here. Hope everybody have a blessed and amazing Friday. Be safe. Nothing but love. Let's get it. Let's go.